Hi, and thanks for watching. If you're new here, I'm Wendy and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at thrift stores, garage sales, and flea markets to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content that interests you, stick around. And make sure to hit that like button. It really helps us out as we're trying to grow our channel.
Nina's Jewels today. Come on in. Nina's Jewels. Come on in.
Hi everybody, and welcome to today's What Sold video for the week of January 22nd through 28th. Unfortunately, this was kind of a light week for us, and I know why, but that story is still unfolding, so I'm gonna wait until we know the end, and then I may make a video about it. But let's go ahead and get started, and I'll tell you about the things that we did sell. The first thing was the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. It was a Sony PS3 game. We had picked that up at a thrift store for $3.24, and it sold for asking price of $15.99. Next up was a 1995 Magic the Gathering Ice Age rulebook. We sold 2 of those to the same buyer. These items belonged to my husband, and they sold for $13.98, which was our asking price. Next up was a vintage 1980s brown igloo swivel top lunchbox cooler that we had gotten at the thrift store on half price day. We paid $2.71 for that, and it sold on best offer for $30. Next up was a lot of 26 Martha Stewart Everyday Food magazine, just various issues. We had gotten those in the lot of free magazines, so our cost was $0, and we got asking price on those, which was $33.29. The buyer did use a coupon on that. We had a magazine sale last month, so all of the magazines that sold, the buyers were able to use a 10% off coupon. Next up was a Nintendo 3DS owner's manual that we had picked up at the flea market for $1. That sold for $8.99, which was our asking price. Next up was an Arm & Hammer spin brush. We sold 3 of these. Replacement brush heads. We sold 3 packages to the same person. We had gotten those at a garage sale for 50 cents each, and they sold for $47.05, which was our asking price. And like I said in my last What Sold video, these are definitely something that I would be on the lookout for, is any kind of Arm & Hammer spin brush product of any kind, the replacement heads or the actual toothbrush, because I don't think they make those anymore, and people are definitely on the lookout for those. Next up was an item that we got from the box lot of records that we got at the estate sale. So it was a vintage Gary Lewis and the Playboys record. We paid 30 cents for that, and it sold for $9.99. We had gotten that at an estate sale. Next up was a Holiday Home 7-inch plush lamb. It was new with tags. We picked it up at the thrift store for 51 cents, and we sold it for $11.68 on offer to buyer. Next up was a Liesel & Company women's uncut sewing pattern. So it was new. We got that at the Goodwill outlet for 92 cents, and it sold on offer to buyer for $11.98. Next up was just something that belonged to us. It was a 7.5-inch black and rainbow cobra weave braided paracord bracelet, and it sold for $9.99, which was our asking price. Next up was something we got in the Goodwill bins. It was a new in package set of Beautiful Nail brand yellow coffin nail. The shape was coffin, just stick-on nails, and those sold for $9.99, which was our asking price, and we paid 61 cents. Next up was something that belonged to my daughter. It was a By and By girls size 16 chiffon jumpsuit. It sold for $19.99, which was our asking price. Next up was a 2020 Chick-fil-A Kids Meal Table Topics toy. It was new in the package. We had gotten that at the Goodwill outlet. We said that we paid $1.68, but we probably paid way less than that considering the weight. We had just averaged out our cost. And it sold for $7.18. And I've noticed that those Chick-fil-A table topics toys in particular sell often. We have several of those and people will buy those. They like those. Next up was a vintage Playboy from the lot of Playboys that we got from next door. It was the December 1985 issue. We had paid $1.43 per issue and that sold for $7.58. Next up was a pair of Pearl Izumi padded bike shorts that we got at the thrift store for $2.17, and that sold for $26.98. When we got these home though, I noticed that, actually my husband noticed that there was a part of the waistband that was starting to come loose, so I actually had to repair these on the sewing machine, but was able to very easily do that, and then they sold very, very fast. Next up was a women's plus size Lane Bryant short sleeve sweater. We had gotten this at a garage sale for $1 and it sold on best offer for $15. Next is a piece of artwork that we had acquired from our other business. If you watched one of our previous Wet Souls, I explain how we have several pieces of artwork from another business that we own. It's just stock that business no longer has any use for, and so our eBay business has acquired it and now sells it. And this is a children's calligraphy artwork for like a nursery. It sold for $21.68. Next was another one of the free magazines. It was Bon Appetit from October 2014. It sold for $8.09. Next was a Yonex brand tennis racket bag. It sold for $47.18, and my husband had gotten this at the thrift store for $10.81. And he actually got another Yonex, and this one was new with tags, and then he got another one that was new with tags that was even bigger that I think we have listed for like over $100. It was a really nice bag. And then he also got a Head brand bag that wasn't as nice. It had some stains on it. It was not new with tags. So we also have that one listed. So that was a good day at the thrift store. Next up was a Oktoberfest German style lager beer glass. It sold for $16.98. We had purchased it at the thrift store for 60 cents and it sold on offer to buyer. Next was a vintage, it had like a Union tag in it. It was a wool A-line skirt that we found in the Goodwill bins. We paid $1.68 for that and it sold for $28.48. Next was another thing we found in the Goodwill outlet. It was a pair of Tom's shoes, and they kind of had some damage on the heel, some wear on the back of the heel, but they were such a unique and interesting print. They were purple and they had like an eyeball print all over them that I decided to pick them up anyway. And I disclosed it. I was explicit in the listing that they had the damage on there, but they were such a cool print. I thought that they would probably sell anyway, and they did. They sold for $19.99, which was our asking price, and we had paid 61 cents for those. Next up was an item that belonged to my husband as a child. It was a Basil and the Lost Colony library book, ex-library book. I don't know if he kept it from the library or if it was, an old library book that they had sold off. But it sold for $22.99, and we had that for a long time. We recently lowered the price on that, and then it sold once we dropped the cost by a couple dollars. Next up was a pair of Levi's signature women's jean shorts, high-rise jean shorts. We picked those up in the Goodwill bins. We paid 61 cents and they sold for $12.78 on offer to buyer. Next up was something that belonged to me, and I no longer wanted it. It was a really pretty white flowy swim cover up, like kimono style swim cover up. It sold for $28 on best offer. Next was a women's Nike Golf polo. It was like a really cool purple and orange plaid print. And it sold for $20 on best offer. We had gotten it at the thrift store for $3.79. And next up, shout out to Shed Flips, because they were the ones who taught me. Candace on Shed Flips had mentioned that she always picks up Schleich rubber or plastic, like PVC. I don't know if they're rubber or PVC, but like animals. And she talked about how heavy they are and how you can look on the bottom and they're marked Schleich. And so I had picked up a bag of toys at our local thrift store because it had a bunch of animals in it, and I thought, well, maybe there's a Schleich in there. And I couldn't believe it. There was. And so she had talked about how Schleich animals sell really well and that they sell high. And so anyway, I found a Schleich animal, and it was a 2007 3-inch cow that I found in that bag of toys. So I paid 16 cents for it, and it sold very quickly for $19.99. So thank you to Candace for teaching me about that. And now I look for them, and I've found several at the flea market and things like that. So next up was a vintage 1996 Beanie Babies. It was a Dottie the Dalmatian dog with a mint tag. We had gotten this at the Goodwill outlet, and we paid 92 cents for it, and it sold for $13.99. We don't really pick up Beanie Babies anymore, but we still have several from other times that we had picked them up, and they sell for us every once in a while. So we may eventually lot them together, maybe when we do our annual inventory or something like that. Next up is a pair of women's can jeans, size 9. They were mid-rise distressed skinny jeans. We had gotten those at the Goodwill outlet. We paid 92 cents for them, and they sold for $24.68. Next up was another Playboy. It was the January 1982 edition, and it's sold for $11.69, which was our full asking price. And that was from that big lot of Playboys that we got on Nextdoor. We paid $1.43. And this one, it did not sell to this buyer, but I had gotten the weirdest message on this. I had gotten this message from another buyer asking me, the message just basically said, I'm so interested in the cover. I'm so attracted to the cover of this magazine. Can you please tell me who the cover model is, and do you know anything about her? And at this point, like after we take the pictures of the magazines, we bag and board them and put them in storage. And I did not think this person was going to buy the magazine, and I wasn't about to go like pull it out and look up information about it. So I just responded and said, oh, thank you so much for your interest in our products. No, I do not have any information about the model on the front of this magazine, but I'm sure you can locate that information with a quick Google search of the title and issue of the magazine. Thank you so much. And just left it at that. And I never heard back from him again, but it was really weird. I've never gotten a message like that before. And then it was a totally different person that ended up buying the magazine. So interesting people. Next up was a set of 5 pop art prints. And they were really cool prints, but they were in kind of bad condition. And we had disclosed that in the listing. So it did kind of take them a long time to sell, but there was quite a bit of interest in it, just people kind of lowballing us on them. But they were very high quality prints. They just had like some scratches and some damage around the edges. Those sold for $63, and those we had acquired through the other business that we own. And then that does it, except for at the end of each video, I always tell the number of collectible cards that we sold from my husband's collection. And this week it was 6 collectible cards for a total of $15.24. All right, that does it for this week. I would like to invite you guys to like and subscribe. That way you'll get notified of new content when we upload, and we'll see you guys next time. All right, bye.
value. Value. Savings. Value.